Hey Chamber members, it's Alan Waters, your Marketing and Communications Coordinator for the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. Today I am joined by
Terri Welch with Paint and Fun Ceramics.
So Terri, before we get into too much, I ask one question, top of this for everyone. What does success mean to you?
Well, success, that is such a loaded question. There are so many things that you can kind of tap into with success. But for me personally, it means being able to provide for my family. I've been raising my grandchildren for the last 15 years. They're 17 and 18. And so being able to provide a good life for them has been a key success factor for me. But then also, as I get older, I realize I have to take more time for myself. Mm-hmm. So success means being able to take that time off and go to the golf course when I want to, or sit down and read a book, or just paint and create with clay for fun, not for the business, just to enjoy it. So that's kind of my measure for success.
How long did it take you to reach where that was what you considered success?
Probably most of my life. Mm-hmm. When I was much younger, it was all about making money and being able to be financially secure. But now it's not so much about the money as it is about just being comfortable in life and being comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. And I think that's something that it takes a lot of people a while. I do think post-COVID, it's something that a lot more people are actually looking at when they're looking at where they want to work and all those things. So as you were on that journey, what were some other things that, like, along the way you were like, okay, if I get this? Because when I set goals, I always set a goal knowing it might not actually be achievable. Because if I never want to get to a goal point and finish and be like, well, what now? So what things along the way for you were the what nows?
Wow. I guess just things change so much. My life completely changed when I got custody of those grandkids so many years ago. And at that point in my life, it was just about keeping my head above water and taking care of two babies that I wasn't prepared to take care of. And then realizing that I had to get back into the workforce. So I think for most of my life, because I have terrible ADHD, I've been flying by the seat of my pants and just doing what was necessary to get through. And it's really been over about the last 10 years that I started being more mindful about where I was going and where I was headed and what I wanted to do when I didn't have to take care of anybody else except for myself. Mm-hmm. I've spent so much of my life caring for others, which I wouldn't trade for a single thing. But now it's kind of like, okay, I did that, and now I'm ready to take care of me and just enjoy things for me.
As that shift has happened, have you noticed anything in your day-to-day that feels just different than it used to?
Oh, definitely, because most of the beginning of each of my days was spent caring for others, making sure that lunches were made and that meals were prepped and, all kinds of things that were done. Now that the kids are teenagers, they can fend for themselves a lot more, and I don't have to do all that extra stuff. Right. And so that leaves more time for personal care, and then it leaves more time for me to really enjoy my business. Mm-hmm.
Talking of your business, for anyone who's listening who might not know, could you explain Paint and Fun Ceramics?
Absolutely. So we are primarily a paint-your-own pottery studio. So I have more than 1,000 different pieces of paint-your-own pottery on the shelves that you can just come in, walk in any day, and paint. We have a kiln, so we can kiln fire your pieces. It makes them food safe, so you can actually use those functional pieces that we have on our shelves. But now we've added so much more. I added pottery wheels, and we have try it classes, so you can actually come in and have a good time and play in some mud. Because as adults, we all like to play in mud, I think. I know I do now. But you can throw on the wheel. You have to set that up as an appointment. And then we also have clay hand building classes, which I have discovered that building something functional from a slab of clay and following it through from creation to the firing to the glazing and then pulling it out of that kiln and seeing something that I made that I can use on my kitchen table or in my entertaining is just so satisfying. We have a cool class coming up. I'm obsessed now with guacamole bowls. I never have been a big fan of guacamole, but I went to clay camp and I learned how to make this guacamole bowl, and I'm just obsessed with it because it's so beautiful and functional, and I'm excited to teach other people how to make their own.
I like seeing things that I guess could be made with other materials, but I see being done ceramic-wise that you couldn't do with something else. For example, for Christmas, I was gifted a garlic mincer.
Those are so cool.
Yeah, like the center of it won't cut me. I can go in and mince the garlic up as much as I want, but it's ceramic. If that were metal, I mean, obviously my thumbs would be shredded. But I love that functionality purpose too. That's really cool to see. So with Paint and Fun, what's that journey been? When did you start with Paint and Fun?
Well, it'll be 3 years in June since I purchased that store, and it had been in business for 10 years, but it was primarily a place for children to go. I took my grandchildren there when they were little, and it was only acrylic paints, and so it was just decorative pieces, which was great. But I wanted to reimagine the whole place and turn it into a respite for adults. Because for me, art is therapy. I mean, it's so relaxing to go in there and spend an hour, 2 hours, and not think about anything else but that piece that I'm creating, whether it be from clay or just painting a pre-made ceramic piece. And it just takes your mind off of everything else. And you don't have to think about those stressors. So for me, I wanted it to be a place where adults could come and just let go of their day, or where they could come with their kids and spend quality time and create memories together.
Going into that, what was, because 3 years ago was obviously right after
COVID. I know.
What were the years going into that before? Before COVID, but before you actually took over Paint and Fun, what did that look like for you?
It was a struggle. You know, I had wine and design prior to, and in conjunction with Paint and Fun Ceramics. But the huge difference there is that wine and design, that whole business model was predicated on large groups of people getting together. And obviously that wasn't happening during the pandemic. I pivoted and did, take-home kits and paint parties by Zoom, but it just became exhausting because I couldn't. The revenues just couldn't keep up with the expenses. And it was harder to keep employees. So I was doing it all on my own, all by myself, there over the last about two and a half years. And even though we kept our heads above water, it became a chore. It wasn't fun for me anymore. And then I discovered the ceramics, and all of a sudden art became fun again. And I poured all of my energy into that. And that business didn't rely on huge numbers of people getting together. People could come in and they could pick out a piece and take it home with them if they wanted, or they could come and sit in the studio, and it's a much larger space. You could spread out. And so it was a nice transition.
with that and looking at that, because I don't know how many listeners know Wine and Design's not operational anymore. Is that correct?
Correct.
So with that and looking at how you're setting your goals for Paint and Fun, at what point do you look at your goals and you say, great, this is what we're doing? And at what point do you look at those goals and say, this isn't obtainable without hurting my own mental, physical, emotional health?
Well, my goal is to always increase revenues so that I can hire more people and give the people that are already working with me more hours if they want more hours, to be able to promote people, mentor them. I guess one of the greatest joys that I've received from my Paint and Fun ceramics business is that I've been able to mentor and promote a manager. I sent my manager through the Montgomery County Chamber Leadership Program. One, because I feel so strongly about that leadership program, but two, because I wanted her to be able to develop as a leader the way that I had. And I didn't always have somebody holding my hand. And even though she doesn't require hand holding, she has gained a lot of confidence by going through that leadership program. So that has helped my business, because as she's grown, she's helped the business grow. And so now we're working together. So having that extra person in there has really made a huge difference for my business.
In your industry and looking at those goalposts, what advice would you have in someone trying to formulate their own? Not necessarily, and it's fine if it's not like industry specific, because I don't think we're going to have a ton of listeners that are also necessarily trying to open. But what are your, I guess, guidelines to setting goals?
Well, I think you should always want to see growth, and every industry measures growth differently. Some is strictly by revenue, and others, like for us in the PYOP industry, it's measuring our fan base. So customers are great, but we want to create fans, because fans come back time and time again. And that's what really helps our business grow, is creating a fan base and then reaching new people and growing in that way and creating more fans, so that you constantly have an influx of people that are coming back because they had such a great experience. They had such a wonderful time. They want to tell their friends about it, and they want to come back and enjoy that time with friends, not just with family, but or come back on their own.
Right.
So we do a lot of measurement by the numbers of people that return.
Mm-hmm. And looking at that retention-based model, when you get down to your marketing and those kind of things, are you marketing more towards the retention, or are you marketing more towards getting the new people in the door?
I think we market more toward retention, because a lot of our marketing efforts are just photos of people having fun. And people like to see themselves on social media, and they like to show off their work. And so we have a program called Pick of the Kiln. And so we take photos of pieces as they come out of the kiln and feature them in a little reel on social media. And people are commenting all the time, oh, that's my piece. You know, they see their own piece, and, you know, they know that we really like it, and that gives them confidence. And, you know, and sometimes it's a piece from a 5-year-old child, and sometimes it's a piece from somebody that obviously is extremely talented. But the whole point is we love all those pieces. We get excited. It's kind of like Christmas every day that we get to open up that kiln.
It's joy no matter, I mean, art doesn't have to be, and to me, being a somewhat art background, it's so subjective. There is no true good, bad, you know. For anyone, anything could be amazing. Granted, I cannot do physically any art. I've tried painting with my wife at home. you can very clearly see the difference between Alan's bush that's a green bubble and her, what she does. So we're going to take a quick break, and then after that, I want to dive into specifically your relationship with art and how that moves through your work.
Okay.
Explore your creativity at Paint and Fun Ceramics with paint your own pottery, pottery wheels, and clay. Are you more of a painter, more of a sculptor? Well, at Paint and Fun Ceramics, you're the master designer. Your creative vision becomes reality with the mediums they provide. Paint your own pottery with over 1,000 different pottery pieces and more than 200 glaze colors to color your masterpieces to life. Once kiln fired, they become super shiny and food safe. If you're in a rush, you can check out their make and take painting options as well. You can also take a hand building or pottery throwing class with them. Both classes include clay and professional instructions, wheel classes include wheel time, and both private and public bookings are available. Or join an upcoming workshop where you can take advantage of their online bookings. Sign up, show up, and get right to work creating your masterpiece. You can even have a party with birthday, anniversaries, showers, work groups, or just because. Reserve their private room with up to 10 guests. For more information, go to paintandfunceramics.com. That's paint, the letter N, funceramics.com. Back to the episode. All right, we are back. And so, like I mentioned, I want to know so I feel like everyone has some kind of introduction to art. It's not often something that people just kind of stumble across. Either it was a person or a teacher or an activity. What was your first experience with art that made you think, I really like this?
Well, I've had a love-hate relationship with art. When I was growing up and I was in school, I just absolutely hated art. It was not my forte. I was completely analytical in my thinking. I could understand numbers and statistics and those kinds of things. And art was just, I don't know, foreign to me. Mm-hmm. But then I found wine and design as an adult. And really, I only went in that place so that I could meet other women that like to drink wine. Because, you know, I am the wine lady, too. And so that was my first experience where I realized that I enjoyed it. Mostly because there was no pressure. There was going to be no grade, and nobody else had to see my art after it was done. I could take it home. And I just enjoyed the camaraderie. Uh-huh. And so, you know, that's kind of what led me into that. And then I remember doing ceramics with my grandmother as a child, and I enjoyed that, but I never dreamed that I would buy a ceramic shop. I mean, that just wasn't in the plans. But honestly, I believe God puts you where you need to be at the right time in the right place. And so that's, I just think that in both instances with both businesses, neither one were planned. Mm-hmm. I was just in the right place at the right time, and, you know, something was saying, go for it, do this. Yeah. And I just did. And I had no idea what I was doing when I was doing it. So it just, you know, you learn as you go. Yeah,
absolutely. With that, are there any metrics or anything that you can give to people that are thinking of starting their own business? Because it's scary. It's terrifying. You're essentially jumping off a cliff. But when you're jumping off a cliff, you have some inclination of, okay, here are the things I'm jumping into, right? It's not just full on free fall, hope I make it.
Well, to be honest, when I bought the wine and design franchise, it was full on jump off the cliff, no idea what I was doing, and holding my breath for the whole first year. But then, you know, with my connections in the chamber and knowing other business owners and being able to talk to them, that really helped. So if I can say one thing that was the best blessing for me, was having those connections and those friends, being a part of the American Business Women's Association, because that's a group that of women supporting other women, and they don't let you fall,
Right.
Which is just amazing to me. I've been a member of that organization for more than 20 years, and I think that women need to stick together anyway. And, the chamber, of course, has been a great source because of all of the resources that they have available and their support for small business.
So if I'm hearing right, it is something that if you're looking to go into business, you need to make sure you've got some kind of community.
Absolutely.
Whatever that may be. And then once you're into that, once you're going as a small business owner, what are other things that people need to be aware of that they may not already be aware of? Because I know for myself, when I started a company, the first company I ever started failed miserably. But from that point on, I didn't repeat the same mistakes. So what are some of those moments you could say to people?
Well, definitely set a budget. When I first started in business, I did not set a budget. I just flew by the seat of my pants. Don't do it that way. That is definitely not the way to do it. And, and talk to other people in that same industry so that you have a good idea of what is a reasonable budget. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest difference when I started with Paint and Fun Ceramics, is that I immediately got plugged into the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association, which is our PYOP industry kind of leader. They help with everything. And I plugged myself in there. I got plugged in with other studio owners. And the biggest thing that I found in the PYOP industry is that everybody is so welcoming. And they're so free with sharing ideas and helping out. So get yourself plugged in with someone else in that industry, even if it's someone far away, because that can help you. If you're starting your own pest control business, reach out to other pest control businesses in communities that are similar in demographics to ours, and it can help tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big believer in collaboration over competition, because I think even competing businesses, you can better one another through it. So in looking at that, and as you're looking at other things, I feel like it's important that you not only look at other areas similar, but look around you too. And maybe if there are 35 pottery companies, you think, is a 36th pottery company in this area the best fit? I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of pottery places to go to in one area.
I think it would be. But there are other pottery places around this area. And, I don't worry about what they're doing. I try to focus my energies on what I'm doing and creating the best possible experience that I can create at Paint and Fun. If you worry about what other people are doing, you don't have time to worry about yourself and creating the experience and the place and the location or the business that you want to create. And that's where I like to keep my focus.
Yeah. Worry about what you can control, not what you can't.
Right.
So do you have any pieces of advice you would say just that you've learned over the years that you'd like to give out to people?
Well, the biggest one is never give up. If I had given up when things didn't go right, I wouldn't be where I am. And yeah, I fell on my face a lot of times, but it's not the falling. I mean, you have to fall, I think, to learn and to grow. It's just like being a kid. When you fall and you skin your knee, you learn that you're not going to do that same thing again. Well, it's no different in business. You fall and skin your knees all the time in business, but then you get back up and you learn and you brush it off and you don't do that again. And I think that, looking at the past is okay, but keeping your focus on the future, there's a reason that the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield. I've heard that my whole life, and I live by that. I keep my focus going forward. I look back occasionally and say, okay, yeah, we don't want to do that again, or, oh, that worked, let's try that again.
Right.
But, you know, keep the past where it belongs.
Yeah, it's okay to have reflection, but don't get stuck there.
There you go.
I had heard a great quote similar to that about, it was from Seth Rogen. It was about acting. He said, if you continue to work at something, you might make it. If you stop, you definitely won't.
That's right.
So, all right, as we get into that, and because I know we've got you on the show multiple different times, I want to talk a little bit about your goals for this quarter so that when we talk to you again next quarter, we can talk about that. I also, the listeners of this are, of course, chamber members, so any one of them could ask you how, and keep, basically I'm using this as accountability buddies, but many accountability buddies.
There we go.
So what is something in the next quarter that you'd like to achieve?
Well, my quarterly goals this year are like several. So number one, we want to increase our revenues 20% over last year, over the same quarter last year. And so we're measuring that and watching that closely. And the ways that we're looking to do that is to fill our clay hand building classes. Growing that clay portion of our business is key to increasing our revenues. So watch our calendar and sign up for a clay hand building class. And then the other goal is to fill our summer camps by the end of April.
Okay. All right. End of April. I think that's something we can talk about the next time. Where can everyone find you? What's the best way for them to, one, find the store, two, website, social media, all of that?
Absolutely. So the easiest way to find us is inside Uptown Christiansburg, known as the New River Valley Mall, right near Dick's Sporting Goods, inside, across the hall from New River Community College. So we're right there inside the mall. And they can reach us at paintandfunceramics.com. That's our website. Click on the calendar. You can also click on kids camps. You can click on how it works. You can learn all kinds of things on our website. We try to keep it up to date and fun and interactive so people can see what's happening. You can also sign up for our newsletter on the website. We do send out a twice monthly newsletter to help people stay informed on what we have going on in the studio and new and exciting events. And then they can always email me at Terri@paintandfunceramics.com. That's Terri at Paint and Fun Ceramics. And then they can call us. And our studio number is 540-251-3386.
Awesome. A lot of great places and a great way to find you. If anybody wants to go and make me a coffee mug, if you can see the multiple coffee cups here, I'd really appreciate it. Anything else you want to say before we leave off?
I just want to say how much fun I have at what I do. You know, it's such a blessing to be able to go to work every day and not feel like I'm working. Mm-hmm. Just to have a good time and enjoy people and enjoy creating.
Good. I love that. I mean, I don't believe that phrase of if you love what you do, you never work, because I still think it's work, but I do think it's a lot easier if you love it than if you don't.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I mean, I think I work harder than a lot of people. I work a lot of hours. Mm-hmm. As a business owner, you do. You don't work a 9-to-5 job. You're not there Monday through Friday. I'm there most times 7 days a week and 8 in the morning until 8 or 9 at night. But sometimes the day flies by so fast because I'm just enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, everyone go check out Paint and Fun Ceramics, and thank you so much, Terri. Thank you, everyone who is listening, and we will see you in 2 weeks. In the meantime, make sure you go out, connect, engage, and prosper.